and I'll start. Welcome everyone to our team meeting or team call. We have a special honored guest on again tonight. You guys are just getting spoiled with the great speakers that we have. But tonight we have Trina Gray, who is a three-time elite superstar diamond coach. She's been a member of the CAB for I don't know how many years. Are you still a member of the CAB, Trina?
No, my rotation was two or 3 years. Yeah, I just went off.
2 years. So she knows all of Beachbody's secrets. So if you have questions, just, you can tap into her brain. But I'm sure she's got a lot of other accomplishments. So I won't go on, but I'll just turn the floor over to Trina. So go ahead, take it away.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having me tonight. I recognize some faces here. So I don't know, Greg, were some of your coaches maybe at our event?
Yes, we do have a number of coaches. So Trina was a guest speaker at Super Saturday in DC, and I know CK was there, and probably maybe a half dozen or so other coaches were there as well.
That's what I thought. So in thinking about, well, thanks for the introduction. Who am I following? Who was your guest speaker last week? I'm not comparing. I'm just wondering who you're comparing me to.
Well, I think Melanie Mitro was last week. So you're following the top.
No problem. No. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Has she done well? I'm not sure. Has she been? She's
been doing pretty well. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's great. Actually, I'm so glad I get to speak after Melanie because I've gotten to know her pretty well. We went to Superstar Diamond Day together, and we've just met up for dinner a couple times and seen each other since then. I think we spoke together at leadership as well. And she just reminds me that to keep this business simple. And she's really bright, but her strategies are simple. I remember asking her at dinner one night, like, hey, how do you track all your Success Club points for your downline? And she's just like, just a notebook. I just write down everyone's name, right? And so it's so true that we can overcomplicate things, which is part of what I want to talk about tonight. So thanks for having me. I'm a mom of two. Just to fill you in on some of my personal life of who I am outside of the Beachbody credentials. So I'm a mom of two. I live in Michigan in a small town. And my husband's a shipwreck archaeologist. And I own 2 health clubs. My background is actually in journalism. And I always love to make the joke that I have a double major in French. It helps a lot in the business world. So background in journalism, fitness was just a hobby for me. Through college, it helped me take off excess weight. And then after college, when I got my first real job in the real world, working in public relations, and I was a writer for a newspaper. I've done a lot of stuff in public relations and communications. Fitness was just my release. So it was just what I loved to do after work. It was my reason for leaving work. And then when my husband and I moved to a new town in Alpena, Michigan, I didn't have a job. I had no prospect of a job. There weren't a lot of jobs in this very small town in northern Michigan. So I decided to pursue fitness as my career and take my hobby and make it a career, which might sound very familiar to all of you. So although I started with group fitness and became a trainer and eventually opened my own club, we're on the same journey. I bet for a lot of you, fitness was something that changed your life in some way, whether it was a weight loss or whether it was finding confidence, whether it was overcoming, self-confidence issues, whatever. Somehow fitness has changed your life, and you, in joining Team Beachbody, have decided to take that from just a hobbyist to doing something real with it. And that's been my journey. So in putting together some notes for you tonight, I felt the pressure of not sharing what I shared at DC in DC, because I know a lot of you heard that, and I know that Greg sent out that video. So just by show of hands, I can get a feel how many people were either at DC or saw my talk. So I know really not to cover any of that. A few people? A couple people? Okay. Oh, wow. Had I known it was just a couple. I'll include a couple lessons from there. It was good. If you haven't seen it, I'm just going to give you a plug. I think that recording of my presentation was solid. Not that I was really solid, but I think that it was very relatable to people. And I hopefully made success feel like it's truly possible for all of us, right? So let me just do this. I've got a few failures that I want to share. I always like to open with that because I think we connect more as human beings when we know that we all struggle and we've all failed. So I'll tell you a little bit more of my story. We'll cover some failures, and then I'll give you some tips. Now, I wrote out 8 tips today, and I'm going to try to get through them all. And I think I'm going to give you some really good meaty stuff. This is, I think, only one of the tips out of my 8 are things I may have talked about in DC. Otherwise, they're all different new stuff. All right. So I just like to give you a feel for where we're going. A little bit of my journey, failures, 7 tips, 8 tips to success. Does that sound good? Yep. You got pens out. You're ready to go. You're engaged. You're listening. Just an occasional smile will keep me happy and delivering. Okay. Perfect. So mom of 2, lives in Michigan. I'm married and my husband works full time. He travels back and forth from Washington, D.C. to Michigan. I own 2 health clubs and I work more than full time in that job. I also do a lot of writing and presenting in the fitness industry to health club owners and trainers. So that's kind of another hat that I wear. And then I have this Beachbody business. So I'm a superstar diamond coach. And really all that means is I've just been in this maybe a little bit longer than you and just dug in deep and gotten there. So I think one myth I'm going to just blast out of the water right away is that, you have to have, this has to be your full-time gig to be successful. We certainly have a lot of full-time coaches who are at the superstar diamond level. Last time I checked, I think out of the 30 plus superstar diamonds, there are 2 of us who have jobs outside of Beachbody. So a little bit of that can feel unnerving to me. Like, can I maintain this? Can I grow? Can I keep doing this? Am I supposed to be quitting my other jobs? But I just say, find your own path, do your own thing. I like what I'm doing. I like my jobs. I didn't personally get into Beachbody to leave my jobs. So I just have to be really, really a hawk about my time. So I just want you to know that it is possible to have a spouse who travels or be a single parent, have multiple jobs and still be successful in this business. And I really think that I'm a good testimonial for that. My second business center is 5-star, qualifying 7-star. I hope, cross your fingers for me, to be Superstar Diamond 2, by maybe January. So with a full-time job, with a husband who works as well. So it is possible. You don't have to just do this with Beachbody and forget the rest of the world or your other hobbies and careers. You just have to want this badly enough and dig in deep enough and do the most with your time, which I'll get into the kind of nuts and bolts of what I do. But anyway, just want to put that out there. I'm certainly not a martyr. I'm not saying I'm better because I work. I'm just saying that it's not everyone's goal in life to leave their job. So it's not always the best carrot to use with people. It might be for you, but it's not for everybody. So for me, it just added value to my life. And what Beachbody has given me is just freedom, right? So that's, if you ask me, there's, one word maybe that I care about most in life, I guess it's choices. I want to have the choice about where I live. I want the choice about where we take vacations, what we do with our money, where we donate our money to, how often I can fly home and see my family, what I do with my time, who I spend my time with. Choices. A lot of people and a lot of prospective coaches that you could talk to or coaches on your team don't have a lot of choices in life right now. Choices are more appealing than a compensation plan. Choices are more appealing than a right leg and a left leg. Choices are more appealing than understanding the team bonus structure and challenge packs. Choices move people to action. So if you're taking notes at all, that's one I'd write down. I would find out from someone that you think could be a good coach. Like literally right now, do they choose what their schedule is like? Or is that dictated to them? 90+% of America works for somebody else right now. Most of them aren't as happy in it. So a lot of people are being told all day where they have to be, what they have to do when they're there. Most people don't have the choice to upgrade their home if they want. They can't just take their family on a dream vacation if they want. Most people don't have a lot of choices. So digging into that, that's what dug into me. That is what I saw that I wanted, was the ability to choose what I do with my time and money. Does that make sense to everybody? So that might be a deeper driving force than maybe what you've tapped into so far. So let me share some of my failures. I always think this is fun. I do. So last year I got the CEO award for Beachbody. And I say that because that seems like it was a very cool thing. It was one of the most amazing nights of my life. And that's the CEO award is given to one coach out of now, as we know, 300,000 coaches. So it means I was getting something right. Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I do believe Darren Hardy and his lesson about the pendulum that swings. So as high as you want to be successful, whether that's for me, I've been elite, I've hit the Millionaires Club, Superstar Diamond, CEO Club, blah, blah, blah. You got to be willing to swing just as far the other way and fail just as hard. Have you all heard this lesson? It is so brilliant. If you just want to hang in the middle and be a coach, an emerald, a coach, a diamond, that drops to emerald, that drops to coach, that drops to emerald, that does a program, doesn't do a program, drinks Shakeology once a week, maybe not ever, right? Like you're just going to hang in the middle. A little bit of success, a little bit of failure, doesn't go very far. If you want to be successful, that's different for everybody. And it by all means not all about rank at all. It means that you love your team, you love what you're doing, you're making some income, you're feeling purposeful, and you're making an impact. So many ways to define success outside of Beachbody's way of determining success, right? So it's not all about the points in the rank. If you want to be that successful where you're paying off your debt, you're happy in your day, you know, all these things, you got to be willing to fail at that same level. So I've done well in that area. I'm willing to fail that hard. Okay. Here's some of my failures. If you were I'm not going to pull up the slide because I just want to see you all tonight. If you were in DC, you heard the details of this. I'm not going to give all the details. I don't have the slide in front of me. But the bottom line is this. I do believe one of Carl Deichler's favorite stories, because I think he loves hearing about failures too. We were at dinner for Superstar Diamond Day. And he was like, it just kind of came up. Like, where have you guys tripped along the way? Like, how have you stayed in it? A lot of people trip and fall and they don't get back in it. Why have you stayed in it? I'm like, I got some doozies. And I was like, well, 6 months into the business, you know, I got a negative paycheck. It was like negative $3.50. Negative. And so I make the joke, like, I don't even know how you get a negative $3.50. I think it's physically impossible. I think they jacked it up. Or someone returned like one single P90X bar out of a box, right? I don't know how it's possible. So 6 months in, I would not have been this success starter person. You may have already written me off by now. I'm 6 months in, I have a negative paycheck because of some random customer return. Let's fast forward. Some months later, my husband walks in my office at my house. We had a tiny house in town, and I had an office that truly was a glorified closet. And I was in there, and he walked in my office and said, "Where does your Beachbody money go?" And I was like, I thought he meant I was like spending too much. I was like, in the bank. He's like, no, it's not there. It's not in the account. I'm like, oh, check the savings account. He's like, no, it's not there. And I started to panic a little bit. And I called Beachbody. They wanted me to log into my Coach Online office, and I didn't even know my password. You can look at my presentation from DC. I had it up there. I don't remember the date, but it's embarrassingly far into the business. I may have been a year in. I didn't know how to log in. I was like, can you reset that for me? So they reset my password. I get in. I had not been receiving paychecks for the previous 6 months. So I was getting them at the beginning because then they took some negatives from me. Then all of a sudden I stopped getting paid for 6 months. I'd never logged into my Coach Online office. I never knew I wasn't getting a paycheck. What happened was somewhere along the ways, way back when I joined in 2009-ish, they switched from sending out checks to EFT. Well, I didn't read the email, notice, whatever about it. I never put in my banking info. And no, they didn't contact me and ask me for it. So instead, they just didn't pay me for 6 months. So I was like, can I get that fixed, please? So I put in my banking account info, and then the next week they did make good, and they did pay me for my previous 6 months. Now listen, if I were your brand new coach I've been with you for a year, and at this point I've had negative paychecks. I haven't checked my Coach Online office for 6 months. I hadn't been getting paid. Would you have believed in me? I'm just going to answer for you. Probably not. But let me continue the sad story. So at some point I suck it up and I decide I'm going to do this summit thing. All right. So I buy a round trip ticket from Michigan to LA, where Summit was. I went by myself. I did have a few coaches at the time, but I didn't invite any of them with me because honestly it would have been embarrassing to ask them because I wasn't leading them. They probably didn't even know there was a summit. So if I'd asked them, if you want to go to Summit with me, they weren't making any money in their businesses. So I really would have felt embarrassed inviting them. So I go to Summit, and if you heard the story, I lasted, I'm going to say 24 hours. I landed on, let's say, Thursday. I went to something Thursday night that was horrific for me. You had to wear all white, and I didn't get the memo. And I had on a black skirt and a white T-shirt because I'm from Michigan, and I didn't know about the dress code that I felt was happening at Beachbody. So I show up with a black skirt, kind of a funky T-shirt. It was like Steve Madden kind of T-shirt, if anyone knows that. All right, it's kind of funky. I'm doing my own thing. I show up with this all white party, and they're in like white prom dresses. and I look like an idiot. Okay. I haven't shared this level of detail, and I realize it's getting recorded and that kind of stinks, but that's okay. It's the truth. So I left. Everyone was nice. No one was rude to me. Okay. It was just me choosing to feel left out. Okay. So let me clarify. No one was rude to me. I just was choosing to feel like an outsider. Okay. So I left the party. That maybe lasted 12 minutes. They had a photo op booth, and I didn't know who to get a photo taken with. So I just left. So the next morning I go to the huge workout out in the plaza, and there's like, a couple thousand coaches, I'd say. And it was mayhem, and people were freaking out when the trainers came out. And it just, to me, now keep in mind, my story gets better. So I'm sounding negative right now, but this is just the hard truth, right? It felt like hero worship to me. It felt odd. I was a trainer in the fitness industry. I kind of felt like trainers are just, we're just trainers. Like, we're just trying to get people moving. Some of us train moms, Joes, the pros, athletes, non-athletes. Like, I wasn't used to glorifying trainers in the normal fitness industry. We're not really that cool. Okay. So I don't walk down the street and people freak out and ask me for autographs. So when I get out there, I'm like, now I'm understanding these trainers, these Beachbody celebrity trainers are all that. They're amazing, and they've earned every ounce of their success, and I like them all. But at the time where I just didn't understand why we were feeling like they were Lady Gaga or something, right? It was just a little excessive. So I went back to my room, I packed my bag, I got in a cab, I drove to the airport, and I bought a one-way ticket home. It was very embarrassing. It was very expensive. And I got home and just had to really think about if this was for me or not, and really decide what I needed to do to change, if I was going to change. So many things happened that, were my aha moments. If I look back on it, it kind of depends on how I'm feeling about which piece of the story I share. But, a lot of them, one of them for me, an aha moment for me of deciding to get in or get out after that very low point of Summit for me was, for me, it was just meeting another coach that I felt was super relatable and that I liked and connected with really well. And that was Mindy Wender. So I met Mindy Wender at an event in Toledo, Ohio at my sponsor, Janelle Summers' house. And it was a really nice gathering that Janelle hosted, and we were all there just hearing about the business. And Mindy just got up, and she was a new diamond, I believe. And, of course, now she's in Millionaires Club, Superstar Diamond, all that. But she stood up, she was in like a t-shirt and jeans. The guys are like, why are you talking about clothes right now? It's just the perception that you had to be something that I didn't feel like I fit into. So to see it present, Mindy stand up, very casual clothes. She's from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I liked that. She stood up and was like, hey, here's how I've gotten a diamond. This is what I've done. This is who I work with. She seemed just very real, relatable. And I use the word simple in a very kind way because she's very brilliant. The business just seemed simple. And I drove the 5 hours home to Alpena, Michigan from Toledo and was like, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to actually come out of the closet as a coach because I've been hiding it. And I'm going to actually own this thing and see how it goes. So look at it. I didn't need my notes for all my failures. That's kind of sad. Okay. The last failure, I don't share this one very often, but I was trying to be like, give you guys all the good stuff. I have many sisters and brothers, my own and my husband. So sisters-in-law, brothers-in-law, the whole shebang, right? And two sisters, mine and my husband's, two sisters who I was very close with. So out of all the siblings at the time when I joined 5 or 6 years ago, whatever it was, my two closest sisters joined and both of them quit. And they didn't just kind of quit. They quit like, I quit. This thing is, they didn't like it at all. And they felt like my one sister, Carrie, felt like Shakeology was a diet shake and she couldn't get behind that. And my other sister Jeff's sister never really explained it. She just was like, didn't like the vibe of the company and didn't think there was money to be made. I'm not really sure. Just quit. So now my confidence is down really low because you'd feel like two of the people, and it's not their fault, right? I'm not blaming them. Like, it wasn't for them. One of my sisters, my sister Carrie, has come back and now she's a diamond coach on her way to Star Diamond, crushing it, getting a new home. Like, she's doing amazing. She came back years later, right? But at the time I wasn't leading. I wasn't confident in it. So why would they have been? Right? I'm making negative paychecks, not checking my back office, flying home from Summit. Yeah, I want to follow you for sure. Right? No one wants to follow that. So my examples are pretty drastic. Maybe yours aren't so drastic, but I bet you can look at if your team is not engaged, or your one coach, if you have one coach and he or she's just not getting it, it's probably you. not getting it and not displaying it. Because as soon as I turned it up for myself and just decided, and for me, it was like, someone's going to be successful in this. Why not me? And it doesn't sound that profound, but I'm seriously telling you, it was just like, I read the comp plan. I realized that my options for earning a really like a good income where I lived were very low. The average household income in my community, if you've not heard this before, household combined family unit income is $29,000. My kids' school is all free lunch because 87% of the kids qualify for it. And so it would take more paperwork to buy lunch. Okay. So I live in an economically depressed community. Yes. And my husband is the director of a national park that's here, and that's why we're here. And I love my community. But I realized that if I wanted to have a house on the lake, or I wanted to travel, or I wanted to pay off my husband's school loans, that I needed to do it a different way. So I read the comp plan. I believed in it. And I read that part over and over again. And I called my sponsor and asked again, I'm like, tell me that on this team bonus, the part that caught my eye from the very beginning after many failures was that your team bonus is not only your coaches that you personally invite to the business, but all their coaches and their coaches and their coaches and everybody that gets added. And from way back, I was like, wait, the compound effect of that is just ridiculous. Why wouldn't people tap into that? If you get credit for all of the production, you could call it sales if you want, all of the production of an entire team just for being engaged, just for continuing to invite, building your inside leg, contributing to your outside leg, growing leaders. I mean, it's just far beyond what any of us can create on our own. And I'm going to say that I feel like I know that because I own 2 bricks and mortar traditional businesses where you pay rent and insurance and all the traditional way, boatloads, tens and tens of thousands of dollars in overhead to earn that hard-earned dollar every month. And no one's contributing to my business success by dumping their own money into it. It's just like literally blood, sweat, and tears, dollar by dollar. So when I read this, I remembered that I had read a book by Dan Kennedy. Any of you guys ever read Dan Kennedy? So I have another little quick story about that on my tip, so I'll remember to bring that back. But Dan Kennedy was written a lot of business books. And one of the business books he wrote, he talked about the benefits of network marketing, and that if you're engaged, if you're a good person, if you have good intention, if you truly like the business, if you like the product, like there's a lot of things that I think have to be on your side to be successful in network marketing. If you are willing to contribute and learn and all those things, there's so much money to be had because of the compound effect. Beachbody's compensation plan is off the hook. And it's not all about the money, but for me, I saw that if I want these choices in my life, and I looked at this comp plan and I was like, this is my way, this is my ticket. And that's what I did. And I started building, right? And not full-time by any means, but I always tell my own team, I don't work Beachbody full-time, even at this level. But when I work Beachbody, I'm full-time focused. And that's a major difference. There are people who work this 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever it is for you. And it should be whatever fits in your life, whatever you can make work. But I would rather, if I had 3 hours in a day or 2 hours in a day or an hour in the morning and 2 hours at night, I'd rather just literally fiercely attack that time than have 9 hours to work this business and like kick back and scroll the news feed and use 17 filters on my picture and, take 17 pictures of a shake before I post one and contemplate doing a workout for an hour and then maybe doing 15 minutes of it, but posting all about it, right? I mean, there's so many ways to BS the business. You can't BS the business. I think you got to dig in hard and be fierce. So I don't work the business full time, but I work the business with a full-time focus. If you're taking notes, that's one to write down because you're going to share that with your teams. Like, hey, for the person who says, I'm too busy, I hope you can share your own personal story, of course, and first and foremost. But if you feel like you need more than that, then say, hey, I met Trina Gray the other day. You don't know her, but she's a coach in the network that's done really well with this. And she has a full-time job and 2 kids and travels a lot for one of her jobs. And she doesn't work this full-time by any means, but she says she has like a lot of focus when she does work. I think it's worked out pretty well. She's in the Millionaires Club, blah, blah, blah. Use your own story first and foremost. And if I can lend any credibility of that to you, please use it. right? So I do work the business a little bit in the mornings after I get my kids to school. And then I go into my health club several days a week. And then kids activities and sports at night. I teach boot camps at night. I teach a lot of classes, and I come back home and do this kind of time period, like, 8 or 9 o'clock until maybe 11 or 12. So that's what my day looks like, maybe an hour in the morning and a few hours at night. But when I'm in it, I'm really, really in it. I'm creating content for my team. I'm creating tools for them. I'm inviting, I'm following up. I'm doing really, really business focused stuff. Right? Okay. So let me just take a pause on that. Greg, how are we doing so far?
Great. You got 30 minutes left.
I need it all. So
okay.
I'm just saying, how are we doing so far? I'm just through my failures and some basic.
You're doing great.
Any questions, you guys, on that before I move into some of the tips? Awesome. Okay. I'm hoping I'm just that thorough that you have no questions for me. So maybe at the end. Okay. So let's get into this part. So some of the tips that I have for you. The first one I'm going to use is going to be, don't get spread thin. So let's go on this one. Don't get spread thin. And there's a lot of different ways to look at this. The way I'm going to talk about it tonight is that it is way better in this business to go deep in one niche than to go wide. And I'll explain it. This is just my views, by the way. Big disclaimer, asterisk. Don't let this override what Greg has taught you or what other coaches have taught you. Be a consumer of information, and then you decide what works for you, right? So if you've heard otherwise, no big deal. There's many ways to skin a cat, many ways to be successful in Beachbody. I'm not against cats. Okay, so don't get spread thin. What I mean by that is I do not recommend, in fact, I discourage my team from being active on many different social mediums. So I know some coaches are, and they're like, but they all hook together. I'm like, I don't know about that. They probably do. It just seems distracting to me. So I wouldn't recommend having a blog, being on Facebook, being on Instagram, being on Twitter, having a YouTube, getting a Vine, Snapchatting like my 9-year-old. Like, I wouldn't be everywhere. Even if they all connect, my point is this. Even if they all connect, you still have to be engaging people at those points. You still have to, if you're going to have a blog, you also have to be, I believe, capturing email leads, connecting with people, having some lead pages to drive people to your blog. If you're on Instagram, you got to find a way to connect people and get them to your like page so you can have a conversation. Or, you've got to, if you're going to be on Pinterest, like, you've got to find out who these people are, who you're vomiting content out to. And I think it's smarter, in my view, to just be more narrow in your niche, because I do believe that most coaches, in my view, want to create a feeder system, like do a blog, get on Instagram, do these things to meet people they haven't met yet, because they just don't want to have the conversation with all the people they already know. When I look at my new coach, Teresa Schroeder, she's a young woman in Wisconsin, lives up north, small town, loan officer, young mom, got into fitness by just with her own journey, losing weight, pregnancy weight. When she joined my team, she has hit Success Club like 30. I've never hit 30. She hit 30 every month in the business. One month was like 42. She had signed up 17 coaches. Her personal volume was like between 3,000 and 4,000. I mean, just sick numbers, right? And I interviewed Teresa for my team Zoom. And it's so funny because when I interviewed her, I knew what her answers were because I'd been coaching her, right? But I wanted the rest of the team to hear that not a single challenge pack, not one, and we're 30 plus in 40s. She joined December 26th. Doesn't count for my elite points this year. Thank you very much, Beachbody. Joined December 26th. I was like, oh. January, February, March, all over Success Club 30. April, I don't even know. I start keeping track, like 20 of them. Not a single Success Club point, not a single challenge pack, not a single coach she signed up was more than 1 degree separation from her. What does that mean? That means every single person she helped, is the key word, or invited or connected with, was either a teacher from growing up, a teacher from college, a neighbor from growing up. And then we went to the neighbor's girlfriend. It was her aunt's coworker. She just has dominated. I don't love to use the term warm market, and I'm not against it. I just don't train a lot in traditional network marketing. I'm not against it. I just use different terms myself and different philosophies, okay? So All I'm saying is that she went to help all the people she already knows and all the people they know, 1 degree, to get to where she is. A diamond level coach with a solid diamond business, 17 coaches, making a ton of money. Her 5th month in the business, she's making more than what she makes as a full-time loan officer. Now, Teresa doesn't have any connections. She wasn't in a Beachbody video. Tony Horton doesn't know who she is, right? Like, she didn't have anything handed to her. She just had a coach who believed in her. I put some good systems in front of her to get invites going, and she took off. So my point is that if you don't get too spread thin, you have more time to look at who's in front of you. If you don't get too spread thin, you have more time to look at who's in front of you, your current base of people and their connections. So it's time that you start telling people in your life what you do so you can ask them for referrals. And sometimes that's even easier than asking them to participate. What I mean by that is being able to go to college friends or neighbors from growing up or reconnect with. And I don't know why Teresa's helped all these teachers. I don't understand this. She's 10 years out of high school. She's in her late 20s or 30. But she's just reconnected with so many people from where she grew up. And she has said, hey, I want you to know that in addition to being a loan officer and a mom, I also run nutrition support groups. If you know of anybody struggling right now or really needing support, would you keep me in mind? So that's a lot of what I encourage my coaches to do. Things just like, hey, in addition to whatever they know you as, not sure you know, I don't use the word coach a lot, by the way, little parentheses here. I usually say I run online support groups. I run online nutrition groups. I'm a workout buddy for people. I'm an accountability buddy for people looking to lose weight. I avoid the term coach a lot because most people have a different connotation with it. It sounds like a guy on the sidelines in short shorts and, clipboard or something. Like a coach isn't really someone that most people feel like they are. Not something that most of us can relate to. There's great coaches like Coach Wooden and, great coaches in history that most of us don't feel like we're a coach. So I try to use other terms: accountability buddy, workout buddy, online support person. Those are things that my coaches can embrace and feel like they can say. Is that making sense? Okay. So don't get spread thin. Look at who's in front of you and ask people in your life to consider you, even if you don't give them a date. So it's not like, hey, I've got a 21-day program starting June 1st. Do you want in, or do you know if somebody wants in? That's like 5 steps ahead. It's just reconnecting, saying, wasn't sure if you knew about what I do these days. In addition to being a mom or a dad or an engineer or whatever it is, I'm also running these cool online support groups. If you know of anybody who could use my help, would you please consider me? Okay. So you're not even asking them. It takes the pressure off of you if you feel like you're like arm twisting. You're not. Okay. So hopefully that helps. That has certainly catapulted Teresa Shorter to success on my team. Number 2. So my tip number 1 is don't get spread too thin. Number 2 is define your story. Define your story with personal development. I just created this lesson for my own team on Monday in our Push to Diamond group. It's called Rock the Diamond 3.0. And I just created a new lesson for them on Monday. And I did a pretty cool video with it. And basically what I was sharing with them is that, which you've heard before and before, but man, I don't talk about it enough with my team. Personal development is absolutely hands down what has given me the fortitude, faith, courage to believe I could be at this level. I mean level, not like I'm a level above you. I mean level like I got to a sweet spot in my business, right? I have read so many personal development books and opted out of girls' nights out. I've opted out of movies. I've opted out of television. I want to be blunt with you. There's a long time in the business that I wasn't doing a lot of social stuff. So it's not always pretty. Right? I was either with my family or in my business. And I remember sitting on the couch one night reading, Greg, you'll like this, but I was reading First Steps to Wealth from Danny Johnson. And Greg and I had dinner, and he got to hear the longer story of why I'm not a huge fan of Danny Johnson, but that's okay. I can read anything and I'll learn from anybody. I like her book because I like the story of struggle to success and what got her there. My favorite author is definitely Darren Hardy. The Compound Effect was game-changing. Obviously, there's a gazillion John Maxwell books that are awesome. So many things. Slight Edge, you get it. You know what it is. Failing Forward, just critical books. So when I say define your story with personal development, what I mean is that your story in Beachbody isn't just how you may have lost weight with Shakeology, or you got fit with Tony Horton, or you earned a paycheck and you paid off a car payment. Those are like just go to what everybody considers to be your story in Beachbody. It's either a weight loss, or it's getting in shape, or it's earning money. So I'm encouraging my team to make their story about personal development. So I gave them an example of mine. Like I just wrote one up as an example for them. So I'll just read mine. And I'm encouraging them to start sharing their story with people in this way. So I've got it right here. I'm just going to read it. Okay. So what I said to them was, hey guys, my success is built on the back of books. I really like that line. And I made it up myself. And I said, read that again. It's true. My success is built on the back of books. The lessons in the books over the past 12 years, way before I was in Beachbody, moved me to take action, the action that I'm taking today. So I told them to start considering personal development as part of their journey. My example was this. I used to think that business success wasn't possible in a small town unless you were an attorney or a doctor or maybe had some fancy connections. I used to think that being a business owner meant years of advanced schooling, a lot of debt, way too much coffee and stress. I picked up a book by Dan Kennedy 12 years ago. I read it and the seed was planted that success was possible for me too. That was my first light bulb moment with the personal development book. And now reading and listening to podcasts is just part of daily life, no different than eating, sleeping, or working out. Right? So I'm not saying my story is your story. I'm saying that could you start to share or define your story by your personal development? I used to think success was this. And since I've been reading books like this, I now see this as possible for me. I just think that it takes what we do beyond just the shakes, the workouts, and the paychecks. So anyway, I'll keep moving. Occasional smiles. Let me know that we're doing okay. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So Dan Kennedy, I said I'd mention that one. This is still on point number 2. Dan Kennedy, I don't remember. I asked my husband the other day, 12 years ago when we moved to town, way before Beachbody. I was unemployed. We moved here for his job. I didn't have a prospect of a job. I used to work at the Wisconsin State Journal, a huge newspaper in Wisconsin, and then the Wisconsin Supreme Court. There wasn't one here. So I remember that my brother-in-law was going back to grad school to get his MBA, and I asked him what kind of books he was reading, because I had nothing. And he said he's reading a guy named Dan Kennedy. So I got on Amazon on my dial-up computer out in the woods, and I ordered Dan Kennedy, 3 of them. No BS Business Success, No BS Wealth Attraction, No BS Sales Success. They're on the bookshelf right behind me. They just planted the seed in me. They're brilliant. They're super old school. I mean, they're called No BS. So the guy is just super blunt. You don't agree with all of it, and they're written a long time ago. So obviously there isn't a lot of social media in there, but I'm telling you, we get so distracted with all these shiny objects. Like, so much of business success is pretty foundational, fundamental. The way that you ask people questions, the way that you present yourself, the way that you lead with confidence and have a clear answer for them and clear direction for them. Anyway, his books are brilliant, and they planted the seed in my head when I was unemployed, living in Alpena, no job. I read one of the books, and I said to my husband after reading one book, and I know this sounds crazy, and I don't mean this, I can't, whatever, think what you want. I said to my husband on a walk on the beach one day, you know what? I think I want to be a millionaire. And he laughed too, and that's fine. He did. He's like, okay, well, I work for the government, I oversee shipwrecks, and you are unemployed. Right? So no, I wasn't sleeping on a mattress in a friend's basement. I wasn't, there's a lot of like difficult stories in Beachbody. I'm not trying to compare. I wasn't down and out. I wasn't on the streets. I wasn't none of that, but I didn't have a job or a prospect of a job. And I decided that I just wanted to be a millionaire because I wanted those choices in my life. I didn't really care about the money. We don't live incredibly extravagantly. I just wanted those choices. So I do believe that personal development planted that seed in me. And over the years of digging into this business, I just use it as fuel. It's just like it is having, a coach always on your shoulder telling you you're in the final round, you can get through it, you're going to win it. Personal development for me is everything. So I just want you to consider making that a part of your story. And if your coaches are struggling, don't give them another to-do list. Don't give them a checklist. If your coaches are struggling, ask them to read a book, and literally give them the grace of checking out of inviting, and just say, can you just read this book? And can we connect every couple of days on what you're learning? It's okay to put the pause button, just in my view, put the pause button on Success Club for a second, put the pause button on increasing rank, not for long, but for a minute, to regroup and do some personal development and believe that they too are worthy of success. Okay. I'd rather talk about that stuff than talk about another to-do list. The person who really believes it and wants it will find a way to get it done. Make sense? Okay. Number 3, we will be done by 10. Number 3, on my team, we've been doing a lot of like success partners. We've been calling them strategic partners. So I just want to throw this quick tip out for you. This isn't deep. It's just good, I think. Success partner, in my view, is someone that you just check in with support. Like, hey, how many people did you invite this week? For people who use the business activity tracker, it might be, how many invites did you get? How many no's did you get? This is all good stuff. And you do need to either be self-motivated enough to do those things, or have a tracking system, or be checking in with somebody. By all means, this business doesn't happen on its own. However, having a strategic partner is where I believe you want to get to. For me, my strategic partner, Vito Lafata, also a superstar diamond coach in the network, he and I create content together. We host calls together. We lead Zooms together. We come up with ideas for trainings together. Like, it's the person that I create stuff with. I bounce ideas off of with. We pick a book for our team and send it out to people and do, random Zooms about grab a glass of wine and go through a book together. So the strategic partner, I believe, is where you want to get to. Who is it that you connect with? Cross line, up line, down line, who cares, by the way? Who do you connect with that you feel like you would love to, if you had a business partner, if you were in business partnership, if you owned a law firm and there's going to be one other name with yours, who would that be? I think that's pretty critical to get to. And I'm in a big push in my organization right now, my team, to try to help people define more strategic partners. So my 2 of the women I interviewed on my team recently, Dareth and Charlotte, who are strategic partners, they created a new, just to show you what kind of stuff they're doing, just to give you some ideas, they created a new 21-day challenge group that was built around a book. So the focus was the book, and the by the way piece was, we're all going to be drinking this nutrient-dense shake to make sure that we're also taking care of ourselves. So, a lot of times on my team, we're leading with personal development or a book or an activity. And the way that you get involved is to also eat clean. And this is the nutrient-dense health food shake that we endorse. So it might be flip-flop from what you're doing. A lot of you might be running like P90X groups or 21-day fix groups. So your focus is really truly on that product and on your support. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if it's working for you, run with it. But if there's people that it's not resonating with, maybe they just can't get as insanely fired up about a product, consider finding out if they could get fired up about a book they've read and make their challenge group be about the book. And the entrance fee into the challenge group would be, we all also take care of our health. And so instead of taking a multivitamin, we all drink this shake. And we share recipes, right? So just a way of kind of flipping things around. That's something that some of my strategic partners have done. I'm hoping you're getting some ideas here tonight. Okay, number 4. I'm going to keep this one really brief because I talked about it in DC. This is just the idea of like shooting your distractions. In DC, I talked about it as shooting the squirrels. That a squirrel is something that takes you off track, distracts you. You're on a Zoom and yet, you're looking at your phones, which no offense, but I see people doing that, and that's fine, but you're never going to be fully present in where you are. So if you're on your phone, you're on your news feed and you just want to make sure you're listening to me, but what if something happens on the news feed? I don't want to miss that, right? That's just like being distracted, and you're never going to fully absorb where you are. So I encourage you, when you're sitting down in your day and you've set aside some time, to just invite some people to your next group, whether it's a coach training group, challenge group, sneak peek. Just do that. Just do that. I live a bulk of my day with my phone on airplane mode, so I can't be disrupted. Then I'll shut it off airplane mode, and then it's like, right? And it blows up, but that's okay because then I'm ready for it. When I'm on Facebook, as many of you do this too, right? I shut down. I go to my little Apple on my Mac and I go to force quit, and I just shut everything else down so no other notifications can pop up. Whatever it is, right? If I'm going to take the time to listen to like the National Wake Up Call, honestly, I would prefer to listen to it when I'm not also trying to respond to emails or invite to a group. That might sound silly, but I would rather just listen to it in my car, even if I can't take notes, but it's the only thing on my mind. right? Or I listened to him last weekend in between my kids' soccer games, right? Because there was nothing else to distract me. I wasn't also trying to do my phone or other things. So anyway, shoot the distractions. Okay, that's number 4. If you were in DC, you can write shoot the squirrels because you heard that funny story. Okay, number 5, this is a good one. I just had this conversation with a coach today. Her name is Jenny. She's a new coach on my team. She lives outside of, she lives in Eugene, Oregon. And she just said to me today, so I made up this lesson for you. She just said to me today, this is so silly, Trina. One of my friends, like good friends, is a CrossFitter. And somehow she heard that my coach, Jenny, was buying Shakeology. I don't know if she had a shaker cup with her and she took it somewhere and the girl saw her or what it was. She knew she had Shakeology. And she said she messaged me later in the week and said, hey, what are those shakes you're drinking? I might be interested in trying them. I was like, oh, great. I didn't make a huge deal about it. I was like, Jenny, that's so great that your friends are noticing. So let me just let you know how she can just immediately buy a sample pack off your, a 6-pack off your website. So you should write her back and say, I'm so glad you noticed. I'm loving it for breakfast. Why don't you try the sample pack of 6? I'll coach you through it and let me know what you think. I'd love to collect some testimonials for my new business. I mean, really simple like that. She goes, I am so nervous. This is today. This is a legit story from today. I'm like, Jenny, what? She's asking you to try the shakes. You legit drink the shakes. You said you love them and you crave them and you've only been a coach for 2 minutes, right? Like she just did one of my groups last month. She's a brand new coach. What are you scared of? She's like, I just know that she knows there's money involved. I'm like, I get it. I totally get it. I validate it, all that. Let me give you a scenario. So this is the one that I'm using. If you're at a restaurant and your waitress comes up to your table and she says, would you like to start with some appetizers? Hey, I see you're out of a glass of wine. Would you like a second glass of wine? Are you guys interested in dessert today? Are you assuming she's asking you those things because she knows there's something in it for her? If she sells you another glass of wine, her tip's going up. If you get dessert, her tip's going up. Is that the first thing on your mind that like this woman is just trying to milk me? No, she's just asking you. Her job is to serve you food and she's giving you all your options. By the way, if you say no, thanks, I'm not interested in appetizer tonight, is she going to go cry in the back? No. So if you say to your friend, hey, I'm drinking these shakes for breakfast. I have a lot of energy. Do you want to try one? And they say no, should you go cry in the back? No, because it's not personal. But do you assume that because the waitress is making money from the bigger your bill is that she's just money driven? No, she might legitimately want to offer you a second glass of wine because yours is empty. So it maybe that analogy will work for you, is that lots of things in life are tied to commerce, but it's probably more in your head than theirs. It's in your head more than theirs. Think about every single day that people go shopping and people recommend a pair of jeans. Most people aren't thinking like, did you just say those look good because you're making money? No, we just want to hear they look good. I will pay you the money. Tell me they look good, right? So don't assume everyone else is concerned about the money. It's probably just you. So that's what I said to Jenny today. That tip is called let go of the fear of inviting, be a waitress in a restaurant. Maybe that works for you. Just put the options out there. Don't cry if they say no. And don't be fearful of putting the ideas out there. Cool? Okay, that's 5. Number 6, flying right along, almost done. Number 6, just an idea. This is a quick one. Just for another way to invite a prospect into the business. Maybe you're doing coach sneak peeks where you're, dropping lessons on a Facebook page every day about the myths of coaching, that it's a pyramid scheme, that, we do a day in the life of a coach in our sneak peek. We say what coaching is and isn't, things like that. Hopefully you're doing something like that on your team. If you're not, go create it, by the way. You don't need to wait for it. But another thing that I've been doing to kind of, I don't want to say fast track, but maybe just a different route, is when I meet a coach prospect that I really am interested in working with, I just say to her, I work mainly with females in fitness. I just say, hey, why don't I add you to my team page? I would love for you to scan through the past couple weeks of posts. I want you to get an idea of who's in here and what we talk about. Because if you're thinking ahead of time, I don't want to get into this. It sounds like a pyramid. It sounds like a bunch of, it's all sales. It sounds like it's whatever they think it is, I guarantee you is not in my page. So one, you might need to do an inventory of your own. If you have your own team pages, if you're in Greg's or however it works for you, think about what's in your page. I share tons of personal development in my page. I shoot a lot of videos. My coaches contribute. Of course, we also check in on accountability. Who did you invite this week? Who did you mentor? What are you reading? We share ideas on challenge groups, all kinds of stuff. But I think if you went in my page, you might feel like if you were a good fit for me, you would know it. If you weren't, you would know it. So for me, it's just really clear. Like, I've added a few people to my page recently. 2 got back to me right away. I'm like, oh, I totally feel like I fit in here. 1 lady I didn't hear back from. So I'm guessing that didn't feel like it fit her. So that's kind of a good way for me to know. Because do I want to continue to hound and go after someone who met the people I'm working with, saw what we talked about, and wasn't interested? Probably wouldn't be the greatest fit right now for her or for me. So that's just another cool idea of a sneak peek alternative. Let coaches into your team page and let them experience your vibe. There's nothing to hide in there, right? And I just say, I'm gonna add you to my team page for about 48 hours. I want you to scan through, and then I set up a time to connect with them on a Zoom and say, hey, what did you think? What did you see that you liked, and how are you feeling? Something like that. The 1 lady didn't get back to me and the others did. Number 7, your GSR. Your GSR, this is a big daddy point, so I'm not going to go deep with it. I just want to share with you what I do that I think is successful with GSRs. I know there's a million ways to do them. A GSR, I believe, should be a personalized approach to the business. So in my view, you can ask the same kinds of questions to all different people. So you can have a system that you follow, but at the end of the day, you want the new coach to hang up feeling like this business was custom fit just for them. Let me give you some quick examples. I might have a new coach like Jenny. I'll just use Jenny as my example. I talked to her today. I didn't know how I was going to start Jenny off. I don't know. Like, I needed to get to know her and hear her story a little bit. So we decided she's going to start with a 10-day in June, 15th to 25th, because we looked at her calendar. We talked about her schedule right now. Just felt like a good fit. And to be in her 10-day, she's going to offer up 10 days of clean eating. I told her where she should get some recipes from her PIO book and things that she has. And to get in her group, they just need to try a 6-pack of Shakeology. And she's going to, she's a very adventurous outdoor hiker. And so her theme is going to be prepare for the summer adventure. So kind of get fit, get in shape for summer adventure. And she's just going to share different things about backpacking, hiking, tools she likes, shoes she wears, backpacks she likes, and that kind of thing. And what's wrapped into it is Shakeology. Okay. So I don't always start my coaches with a 10-day. In fact, I rarely do. It just seemed like a good fit for her. She's a college professor and she has a break in between spring and summer semester. That's a personalized approach to coaching. Other coaches like Teresa, who I work with, loved Insanity Max 30. So she was just ready to rock with that program. So I talked her off the cliff of doing a 90-day. I got her at least down to a 30-day, right? And then from there, I trimmed it down to a 21-day. It's like, girlfriend, you want to leave them wanting more, not when am I done? You want to leave people wanting more, right? It'll be easier to get them in your next month's group. So we just went right into Insanity Max 30 themed out group. I don't do a ton of those, but that fit her. And we talked about, well, your story is going to be your best way. Your own testimonials are going to be your best way to invite to this group. You're going to follow that food plan. They're going to check in every day. You guys are going to follow the workout routine. Like, that was a very traditional way of starting it. Completely different from how I started Jenny. So I just want to give you the freedom to make your GSRs a personalized approach. As a quick bonus, Greg, if you want it, if it would help your team, helps me tremendously. I created a GSR template that's just 10 questions. I don't usually share our stuff outside of our team because it's a value of obviously being on one team, you know, but since you had me on tonight, I have 10 questions that I use and I base my whole GSR off of these 10. I go through these 10 questions and then I customize an approach. Do you guys want that list just to compare to maybe what you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure.
Okay, cool.
Great value.
So take it or leave it, add it to what you already have. I'm certainly not saying what I have is better than what you have. It's very, very simple. But for me, tried many things over the past 6 years, and this is what I've been using for about 2 years now, just these 10 questions. All right. Last one. Number 8. So number 7 was the GSR, the personalized approach to their business. And then number 8, just really quickly, a lesson that I created for my team recently was I had them rate is the word I was looking for, rate themselves as a leader. If you haven't done this before, I had no idea how effective it was going to be. I can actually give you the questions I asked them, if that would be helpful, and we'll finish with this. I wrote down some statements about a leader, and then I asked them to rate themselves about it. So let me pull this up. And what it really, really helped was it helped them identify what they were good at and what they were going to need work on. So let me get to this. I think it was my day 1. Yeah, here we go. Okay, no, day 8. So this is a training I do for my team called Rock the Diamond 3.0. So leadership starts with you. Let me just get down to these. I can just copy this list, Greg, and send them to you guys. So I'll just send you the list and I'll just read it to you so you don't have to. Okay, so I asked them to rate themselves in 8 ways. Just quickly, they had to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5 on these categories. Do they reward people with their achievement and celebrate their victories? Do they respect? Do they not command respect, but they earn it through their actions? Do they help people by asking questions? Do they have a positive attitude to influence others? Are they likable? Do they have clear expectations for people? Do they do what they say, meaning they fulfill their promises? And do they have a clear vision for their team? So I cannot believe the breakthroughs in this lesson. I posted those 8 questions. I had them rate themselves in each one 1 to 4. And then like it just blew up. They had to pick, they had to rate themselves, and then they got to talk about the one they felt most confident in and talk about the one that they felt like they struggled the most in. It just got good discussion going. You guys, there's no checklist. There's no to-do list. There's no magical list. It doesn't exist. There's only getting better at leadership. That is the secret sauce. You can't fake it. You got to walk through the trenches to earn it. So I really appreciate you having me on tonight. I will stick around for some questions. I appreciate that you had me. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll follow up with those GSR 10 and those 8 leadership questions, which is content I've really never given out before. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you, Trina. I'll start. I have the first question. So obviously your first summit experience was bad, right? So what would you say to people who are on the fence about summit? Because obviously you went back and you found value in summit, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry that I didn't close the loop on that. I hope that was quite obvious to people that at this point,
yep.
I was choosing not to be a part of the tribe. And I just decided after that to not let myself feel like an outsider. You cannot rock this business without going to summit. Let me just put that out there. It is the worst mistake I think you can make is missing the business's annual event. You will leave inspired. You'll leave with tools. You'll leave feeling like you too were meant for success. You'll have a leg up on your business. I mean, it's honestly like being an athlete and missing the preseason conditioning. I wouldn't want to show up on the football field. Like, you need to show up for preseason conditioning to have better results during the season, right? It's the same exact thing. So I had the worst experience ever my first time I went because I chose to be that way. And I wasn't very connected to the company or the mission, right? So can that happen to people? It certainly can. But I went back and it got better the second year. I brought some teammates with me. And then the next year I just was like, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. I'm going to just hoop it up and have fun and do my own thing too. And I'm going to love these workouts and
celebrity worship, right?
Yeah, I can't go that far, but I don't think you should worship top coaches or any of it, right? We're just like all on a journey. So absolutely, you need to be at Summit. If you want to be successful in your business, make it happen. I literally on my team page, if someone explains like, oh, my aunt is visiting that weekend, I'm just like, delete. I just delete them because I know that there's legit reasons why things can't happen. It's expensive, childcare, all of that. But for every story of that, I have 10 stories of coaches that I work with who have, sorry for the guys online really quick, but like women who are breastfeeding, who are like pumping from the road and storing milk in jugs and like making it happen, borrowing money from, people make it happen if they want to. So your reasons have to be stronger than your excuses. If this year is completely out the window for you, then commit to being at every Super Saturday and start saving for Summit next year.
I have a question for you, Trina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have 2 new coaches who are personal trainers, and I wondered if you had any tips for them, how they can incorporate that into their business.
Yeah, that's a call all on its own, truly, Kim, but I can give you a couple tips for sure. One, I do get this question a lot, and I guess I would just really, 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 really think about how they're going to do this business differently than. So are you a personal trainer?
No, not me, just two of my coaches.
Okay, so they're going to work the business differently than you are. So the idea of customizing it to them is so critical. Here's why. And I'm speaking as a personal trainer, and we're not on a different level by any means, but personal trainers generally already have some credibility in nutrition and fitness with their audience. So they don't necessarily have to start, posting like sports bra pictures on Facebook. Like you're not going to necessarily have them go, wow, snazzy, pizzazzy all over Facebook right away. Like, I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying that work with who they currently have and just focus on Shakeology. So a lot of people come to me and say, hey, should I tell them to get certified in P90X? I'm like, don't start there, because I love P90X, but a lot of trainers have as many certifications or more. Like, it's not that they need to know the moves that Tony does. It's they already have a lot of background and credentials in fitness, and just show them how Shakeology might solve their client's problem with nutrition, and their clients could get better results in their fitness training with them if they were eating better. So I say things like, hey, your clients are spending money on supplements somewhere. They're going to GNC, they're going to Walmart, they don't know what they're doing right now. If they're not seeing results, it's hard to get them to re-up their training package or stay with you. Would you consider this for your clients? They would use your training. You are your own brand. You're just adding Beachbody to your toolkit is the phrase I would use.
Okay.
I would stay away from things like, and I'm not making fun of this, so please don't message me later and be like, that was rude. I'm just saying most trainers don't want to adopt the title of Beachbody coach. Right? They've gone to school, they've gotten their exercise physiology degree, they have the ACSM, they're not looking to be a Beachbody coach, but they could see the value of partnering with Beachbody, like we partner with Under Armour or partner with Fitness Anywhere and use TRXs. Like, it's a tool in their toolbox. They don't have to become like enamored. We want them to end up loving the mission and the brand and the company, but that you can learn to love it if they see the value in Shakeology. That's where I would start.
Okay.
Does that help, Kim? Does that give you a little bit of direction?
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Hey, Trina, could you just talk a little bit more about your friend and the referrals? Did she jump over her own contacts to go to the contacts, or did she really wait for those people to get referred to her before she, pursued the conversations?
Yeah. Well, so both. Let me give you an example. So Teresa, the one I mentioned, she really got a lot of people referring to her because she was doing, I can't remember the number, is it John? But I do believe it was like 10 conversations a day that she was doing, where she was reaching out to people saying, I just want you to know I'm also doing this. Do you know if somebody could use my help? That was initially sending her a lot of people. Where she's gone from there, and so she's not jumping over that first person to answer your question. She's going from asking for these referrals, and people are like, oh my gosh, maybe my coworker, maybe my sister, like they like her and they want to help her. But then where we've gone on the team, and I've got a coach, Jen, who's really good at this, is that every time, as many of you do, all of you do, I'm assuming, every time she runs a challenge group, at the end day, the prize she gives out is based on the best testimonial. Not the weight loss, not the inches lost, the best testimonial. They have to write it on their page and they have to tag her as the coach. She goes on all of their pages then and reads all their testimonials to pick the winner. But guess what else she finds? She sees that 16 of that people's friends click like on it. She does then friend request or reach out and message those 16 people.
So she does go right to them directly.
She does. Now, in her challenge group, she will let her participants know. She says, you're going to post a testimonial. I'm going to pick the favorite one. By the way, I'm going to look and see what friends and family were cheering you on, or what friends and family were excited about your results. And, I might invite them to join us in the future.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Fun stuff. One last question.
I wanted to ask, it kind of goes back to the cross trainers. Like, there are a lot of walking groups and things like that. So would you maybe target them as far as with the Shakeology or something
Jerry,
like
I'm sorry,
that?
I don't know what you mean by a cross trainer is like an elliptical. So what do you mean by a cross trainer?
Or I'm talking about what Kim's, she's got the
personal trainers?
The people who are the trainers. Okay, right. So if you have other groups that are more specific who really aren't going to be drawn to you by a workout challenge group, you then kind of go in the back door and start with maybe a something to do with walking and just introducing the Shakeology?
Greg, can you help me out with this one? So Jerry, you're talking about talking to personal trainers who run walking groups, or I guess let me just try to answer it this way.
No,
I'm
just
really clear on this question.
No, it's more like, it's similar to that. You know, you have personal trainers, you have groups that walk, and you have groups that ride bikes. And I'm trying to get a concept of how to get them involved in a challenge group.
Okay. Well, so a walking
they're
group,
not doing it.
okay. So walking group to me is different than a personal trainer, completely different. So a walking group, a group of people
Right.
who already have some, interest in fitness. No. I would go to that group and say, hey, I love that you are already tuned into fitness. Do you do any kind of flexibility training or strength training? Anything to keep your bones strong? Or, have you considered doing any other workouts at home? You certainly can include fitness to people who already like fitness. So let me be very clear. What I was saying to Kim was a fitness trainer who's leading their own workouts, leading their own small group trainings, leading their own boot camps, doing one-on-ones. You want to know what they're doing, by the way. To that person, you're not going to lead with Tony Horton's P90X3. You're going to lead with, you're already helping and serving your clients' fitness. How about we look at nutrition? Because people who are already into fitness because they're in a biking club or a walking club, you're saying, I love that you're already into fitness. Do you do any other variety of fitness? What do you do when it's cold out? What do you do when it's raining? Do you just not meet that day, or are you looking for other options to do at home? Does that help?
Okay. It does. It does. Thanks.
Okay. Cool.
Are you out of time now?
I can take one more. I feel like I let Jerry down on that one. So I tried, Jerry. So I'm hoping that walking groups, you certainly want to approach about fitness. I think it's a great idea. So if somebody wants to end with one final question, I'll try to bring it home with a bang here.
Home run.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have one. I'm attending a seniors fitness group. And what I do is I approach, my fellow fitness buddies there. They're all seniors. But I asked them if they would be interested in maybe joining a Facebook group. So I have been doing that with them.
Mm-hmm. Is there a question in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that's how I am approaching people like.
That's great. That's great. So creating a sense of community online with people who are, that's awesome. People want to feel like they belong to something. They want to feel like they're in a community. That's an awesome idea.
Okay.
I think there was one question down here that we didn't get to. Go ahead. Somebody had a question and unmuted. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Trina, thanks. I have a question about basically overexposure. I actually am a personal trainer, and I've been doing okay with my own business, but I'm really struggling being a leader for my coaches, and especially those that aren't, because as you said, I can slide in the back door with some of the nutrition things and things like that. But for them, the frustration that I get, and you're obviously having successful coaches through your team, is everybody's heard of Shakeology. Everybody's heard of a Beachbody coach. Most people have been exposed to less than positive experiences with Beachbody coaches, or at least for some reason in my market, they all seem to have these horrible stories that they come back like, no, they don't want to try it. They've heard of that Shakeology. Oh, they know their sister's a Beachbody coach, their aunt's a Beachbody coach. How do you help your coaches be able to overcome those sort of objections? Because I'm at a loss to help them on those.
Yeah. Well, so overexposure is, saying that the market's saturated is kind of hard to believe when there's 300,000 Beachbody coaches and spread all across the US and Canada. However, I'm sure it's possible they've seen somebody online, or they've seen a post, or they've heard of somebody. At the end of the day, to me, this is how I hear that. That's like for the person who says, no, I've tried exercise before and I did not like it. I did not like that move I had to do back in PE class, so I don't like any exercise. Right? So like this blanket approach of I don't like Beachbody. I don't like Shakeology. I've seen it once. I think it's so much just about the person. By the way, Jenny, the coach who signed up with me today, had been a Shakeology customer of somebody else's 3 years ago. And that person sent her a message that was so blatantly slimy that she was really turned off by it. But she still joined my team years later because she wanted to work with me, right? And people believe in a person. You want them to believe in a person over the product. So if somebody has a compelling weight loss need, or they really need to get active and they believe this person can help them, lead with the person. Tell your coaches, what is your story? What are you good at? What social proof do you have that you can help people? Right? Lead with that and say, listen, I'm sorry that you got a bad exposure about Shakeology. That's like saying that you got a bad taste of water once and you're never going to drink it again. Or that's like saying you tried fitness once and you didn't like it. I'm telling you there's value in it. Try it with me. Here's my experience with it. I'm never going to push it on you. I'm never going to make you stay on it. I'm never going to do anything that you don't want to do. So just own it. Be like, yeah, you know what? Just like honestly, let's just say it like it is. There's some bad priests out there. But there's some good priests out there. So you can't say, I heard of one bad priest, so the whole Catholic Church is bad. You can't say, and that's a good analogy. I don't mean to say that to be rude, but like you can have one bad teacher growing up. I did not like Ms. Mouts. That doesn't mean every teacher's bad. Right? There's a lot of NFL football players who've been busted for, battery and domestic abuse. That doesn't mean all of them are bad. So you can't let people put us all in the same box. And just say that. You can't put all Beachbody coaches in the same box. I know that people lead it differently, but that's like saying you didn't like one car salesman. That's not like you're never going to buy a car again. So I don't know what your experience was before, but this is what I do. I don't know what you heard before, but this is what I do. I will offer you recipes and support and encouragement. I'll check in with you every night. I can't speak to what happened to you before, but this is what I do. And social proof is everything. They have to show success stories and testimonials of people that they've helped. And, give them those analogies and say back to the person, listen, I'm sorry you've had a bad experience with a coach or Shakeology. You probably had a teacher you didn't like growing up. That doesn't mean all teachers are bad. Will you give this a try? You have my promise and there's a money back guarantee. Whatever, something like that. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That helps a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a good question. And hopefully, so awesome. I am going to get my kids to bed. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Greg, I'm going to PM you really quick those 2 things I'd send you. I'm just going to copy and paste them and send them in a PM to you so you can share them with your team if you'd like.
Okay.
If you guys, I'm on Facebook at Trina Gray. It's AY, Trina Gray Fitness. So if you have a specific follow-up question, be happy to try to get to it if you type it out for me there. Does that work?
Yeah, you are awesome. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. It's nice to meet your team. Thanks everybody for staying so present and smiling and attentive.
Thank you,
Fun to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Night night.
Bye.
Thank you.